Hello again, whiskey friends. Thanks for joining, everybody. Today, we are going to go over brands and bottles that I will be hunting in the first quarter to first half of 2026. When I see these, I will buy these every single time, even if it is to have a backup. As we go through this list, hopefully, it puts some of these brands and bottlings on your radar as well, so you know what to look out for. So, thank you for joining, whiskey friends. Let's kick off the show. All right. Now, if you stick around all the way to the end of this video, I actually found one of the bottles that I was looking for just a couple hours ago. So we will end this video with a fresh crack and a first impression live and see if it lives up to being the number one on my list. And maybe I need to go hunt some backups while it's still on the shelf. But in 2026, I did promise myself to be more strict with my spending. Even as I looked around the basement here and I am trying to cut back, I am still so close to floor whiskey status, which is a big no-no in my house. As we get more and more into barrel picks here at the channel, I continue to buy my own barrel picks more and more. And regardless if I'm buying something that we picked or I'm buying something from one of my local stores or other groups, there's only so much space. So I gotta cut back, I gotta pick punches, but when it comes to these brands, I am all in. So let's get into what is on my radar and why. Number 5. So this is one I have been raving about lately, and I would certainly appreciate a backup of the 1924 10-year. I think this latest batch is absolutely incredible. Gave it an 88 recently on review, but man, I think it could even go up to an 89. And this is coming from somebody who actually didn't like batch 1 or batch 2. I thought both of those were overpriced and overrated. But this one is resonating with me, and if you were to go around and search for other reviews and look in the comments, it is resonating with a good part of the reviewers and the community in general. You can find this right now sitting around somewhere between $100 and $120. And for me, this is not just a buy, it's a buy and back it up. So now I'm on the prowl for a backup. Number 4. So this one's going to be more about me continuing to expand my dictionary on this particular brand. But as I see new batches pop up, I will buy it every single time. But it was really fun exploring Dietrich's Fine Whiskey, both the bourbon and the rye coming out of Bella Dayton in Ohio. I got my hands on quite a few of these last year, and I am not done exploring their flavor range. These barrel proof offerings are a little pricey, $95 to $100 per bottle, but they're also a unique 5-grain bourbon and 4-grain rye. And I don't mind paying up a little bit, especially when the producer is so small as Bella Dayton. If you want them to stick around and you want to see them grow, you gotta support them, especially during this important phase. Number 3. This one is interesting because we actually did a single barrel pick from this brand in the series that I'm about to show you. And I am still hunting all of them down because I am thoroughly obsessed with all of these different finishes. But here I am talking about K. Luke. This is one that was finished in Sauternes and is our pick in collaboration with Drifting Drams, Dusty Dan, and Bourbon of the Week. Good old Hoff on the shelf. But I loved this Sauternes finish bourbon so much that I couldn't resist getting my hands on a Sauternes finish rye from the exact same series and season. I mean, I had to compare the two. We love the Sauternes bourbon so much. We know these are in similar casks. Why not try the rye? It is also delicious. Then a special whiskey friend actually gifted me this bottle, finished in Pinot de Shiraz. This is actually a Fred Minnick pick. And I love this one so much that, of course, I just had to go out and find the exact same finish in the rye. All the ones that are finished here thus far I've gotten on either shared pour or seal box. And I know there's a lot of groups down in Louisiana that have been talking about theirs. I want to try them all. I haven't played Pokemon with a brand or something like this in quite a while. But Jonathan Massano over there at K. Luke, he did such a good job with the underlying blends that it becomes so interesting to then see how the heck the finishing casts influence all of these. And when we did our own pick, I mean, we got to taste a lineup of 6 of these and we loved them all. They were all great. They were all interesting. I need them all. in my life. Can't remember if I said it, but usually you can find these between $100 or $120. And then I am always particularly interested in this series that he did in the fall. So you'll see a lot of these were approved in November. And that's when you know they're coming from the same exact series of barrels as our own single barrel pick. Number 2. All right, here's a brand. If I see it, I will buy it every single time, even if I have that exact same bottle already. This costs $35 to $50, depending on where you're getting it from. It is worth every penny of it. And as far as we know, there's only so much of this to go around. So I don't know how much longer this is even going to be a thing that is on the shelf. So I am collecting these much like when I collected Knob Creek old school picks that were between 13 and 15 years old and then they disappeared. I am treating this brand this way. But quite frankly, even though I've now already bought probably 30 to 40 bottles of this, I think I've only kept like 3 for myself because all of my friends want some and just got to share it out. But if you know me, you know I am talking about Silver Springs Sweet Rye Whiskey. Coming from the same brand that brought you J.W. Kelly, this rye whiskey also has an interesting mash bill: 65% rye, 15% corn, 20% malted barley. What's really nice is on recent releases too, I've also been noticing a distilled and bottle date. So no more guessing on the age of these. All my favorite casks thus far have been essentially 7 to 8 years. And there is even one on its way from Hello Again Whiskey Friends, in collaboration with Dusty Dan, Drifting Drams, and Big Vic. But yeah, as I said, best advice, take that leap while you can. See it, buy it, won't regret it, especially at that price. Number 1. All right. So I did switch it up. This is a different number 1 that I had intended just because I actually did find my original intent for the number 1. So we're going to talk about that after this. So you get another bonus number 1. But I would like to splurge this year. I am getting too darn low on my original batch 1 of Jack Daniel's 12 year. So I do intend to aggressively hunt an older Jack Daniel's this year, whether it's the 10, the 12, hey, maybe even the 14. Absolutely love Jack Daniel's, and I love that Jack Daniel's has been exploring these older age statements. So while I don't go out of my way to aggressively hunt bottles that much these days, this one might change my tune, where I might dedicate some Saturdays and Sundays to hunting down some old Jack Daniel's. Cheap plug again. I mean, one of our more recent barrel picks coming out here soon will be Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey and a Jack Daniel's Rye, 9-year Coy Hill. What I hope you take away from those last 2 statements, since I said it on the Silver Springs and I said it about the Jack Daniel's, we pick the things we like to drink. Thus why there is some overlap with what's going on this list. Bonus number 1. All right, I didn't have a slide prepared that said bonus, so I just used the number 1 twice. I think that worked. Last year, an exciting new series debuted, and I don't think it got enough due. People talked about it quite a bit, but I feel like it was better than what people even gave it credit for. It just kind of came, little chirping about it, and then it disappeared. But I'm talking about the Remus Experimental Series. Last year's release was a bourbon at 107 proof, aged in Seguin Moreau wine barrels. I thought this was a gorgeous release, only cost me $80, which is cheaper than the inferior Remus Repeal series. And I love to see MGP. Correction, Ross and Squibb. I did promise in my review of this that I loved it so much that I would do my best to call them Ross and Squibb going forwards. But them getting funky and experimenting is exciting. And thus, lo and behold, fresh purchase from a store in Ohio for $79.99. We had my original number 1 on this list. That is the Remus Experimental number 2. Now, what's great about this one is it's actually a wheat whiskey. Looking at 8 years old, 113 proof, and then finished in tawny port, white port, sherry, and ruby port casks. Oh my gosh, this is going to be awesome. We're going to crack this thing open right now. And if you're still hanging out with me throughout that whole list and you're ready for this first impression too, man, hit that like and subscribe. Consider checking us out on Patreon, or at a minimum, we got a private Facebook group. Come hang out, join the community. That's how the news goes out about our barrel picks. Now, for MGP's wheat whiskey, my experience with their wheat whiskey dates back to Down Home. Used to do a bunch of different single barrels. Toasted single barrels too, some of them at different char levels. Absolutely loved those. But I've never had their wheat whiskey finished in wine casks nor sherry casks. So all of these different ports, especially the blend of the white, the ruby, and the tawny port with the sherry thrown in, dude, heaven. The other interesting thing about this one too, before we pop this cork for the first time, but also note, these are 700 mLs. This is happening more and more frequently. But you know what? If I'm paying a little less, I don't mind that too much. I mean, once again, I need space. So I'm not really worried about the 50 milliliters if I get that discount on the price. I'd rather pay 80 for a little less because it's going to be hanging around here for who knows how long. All right, here we go. Cork pop. Ugh. Yeah. All right. America. Should have done that. All right. Got a top dog Glen. Let's get this first pour and first impression. And these are literally just now hitting the shelf. So if you stick around for this whole video here, maybe this is early word on whether you should be hunting this one. But I really, really hope this experimental series is just something that is consistently impressive every year and they keep that price at 80. That would be wonderful. And nice ring around the glass there. Let's go in for the nose. Cheers, everybody. Oh my gosh. Okay, the finishing casts on this are dominating the first impression, just obliterating it. That wheat whiskey's trying to fight through, even with a little bit of that oak too. But it's so soft and sweet that those fruits are just taking over. And actually a pretty good way too. You can kind of see the smile in here. So I'm enjoying every second of that takeover. Yeah, you're definitely doing a big dance between all the shades of those different grapes. And the sherry does have a way of sticking out on this one, despite being only one of the 4 finishing casks. All right, first sip. Let's see if this thing holds up to my anticipation. Oh, on first sip, it is gorgeous. Mouthfeel was wonderful and oily, and man, does it leave a really good first impression up front on the palate. Though once again, you are mainly dealing with those finishing casts here. You really gotta like a finish to get into this one, but it's the experimental series. This is fun. All right, let's go to a second sip. I'll start breaking down some flavors. You know, up front, on the front palate, that wheat whiskey has a chance to have the spotlight and to shine through. It is this nice, soft, essentially buttery flavors that are coming through with a little bit of oak, nothing overwhelming there, barely even getting hints of that finish. But then in that transition to mid palate, those finishes all take over, essentially getting the waves of all of those different ports. Actually, each one kind of gets its due as you go through all of those layers of the different tones of the grape flavor. And then as it transitions to the finish here, there's a little bit of a spiciness that comes up, almost like a white pepper, most likely just coming from the char and the barrel itself. Balances out that sweetness, that butteriness comes back too, and then is thus in balance with really at the end, I kind of focus on like the white port and the sherry aspects more than that darker ruby port or tawny port. On first impression, immensely delightful, flavorful, great mouthfeel, long finish, interesting, diverse, everything you would want from an experimental series here, especially considering I haven't had a lot of wheat whiskeys that have been finished like this before. So I'm going to caveat this with, you gotta like finished whiskeys, especially with that more overwhelming grape. Though this wheat whiskey does shine through in places, the main event is the finishing casks. But if you're into that, this is a buy it if you see it. I'll do a full review and a score as I get to know it a bit more, but I do think it's going to get a very decent score, just like the experimental #1. And in my book, that makes this series now 2 for 2 on getting a hit product out there under this new label. Please keep the price where it is, keep experimenting, and this will be on my list year after year as a must buy. So thank you again, Ross and Squib. Well, that's probably a longer video than I originally intended, considering I tacked on that first impression of the Remus experimental. But if you've had it, let me know what you think in the comments. What brands do you agree with that are on this list? And which ones would you add for your personal hunting in 2026? And we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye, buddy.